A lot of people hear that rental real estate is a great tax strategy. While it's technically true, very few actually understand why. They hear phrases like depreciation or paper losses, but no one ever shows them how this actually works on your tax return. So today I want to break this down in a very practical way. I'm Matt Sorensen, attorney and CEO of Directed IRA, and in this video, I'm going to explain how rental real estate saves you taxes, how it shows up on your tax return, and why you can often have money in your pocket while showing little or no taxable income to the IRS. Let's walk through it step by step. Rental real estate is taxed differently than most other income, and before we talk about the forms or deductions, you need to understand one key idea. The tax code treats income from rental real estate different from your paycheck or side hustle. For example, the rental income you earn as you're holding the property or the capital gain income when you sell the property is not subject to self-employment tax. If you're making money with the W-2 or from a side hustle, you're paying self-employment tax. That's ordinary income, you have payroll taxes, and for example, with your W-2, you have very little flexibility in your tax planning opportunities. The best part is the deductions and depreciation opportunity we're going to get to here in a second. And think about it this way, the IRS has a different set of rules for rental property owners than they do for wage earners. And these rules are where the tax savings come from. And once you understand this difference, everything else starts to make sense. Rental real estate lives on Schedule E of your tax return, and this is where you're going to report any rental income or capital gain income when you sell the property. But more importantly, it's where you're going to claim all of your expenses on the property, including depreciation. This is where you claim your tax savings. Before we even get to depreciation, rental properties generate a lot of legitimate expenses. Now, the common expenses you're going to have is mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, repairs and maintenance, property management, advertising, utilities if you're covering any of those as the landlord, travel, mileage relating to the property, legal, accounting costs, any other expense related to the production of that income on the rental property. Now, these expenses directly reduce the income you report. So if your property brings in $40,000 in rent and you have $30,000 in expenses, you're only paying tax on the $10,000 difference. Now, that part is fairly intuitive. And where things start to get a little more complicated is where depreciation comes in. But depreciation is the game changer. This is where rental real estate separates itself from other investments or business activities where you have income and you have expense and you only pay tax on the difference. But here, with rental real estate, you're taking an additional expense called depreciation. The IRS allows you to take a depreciation expense on the building. Now, depreciation means you're writing off the value of a large asset like a building over a long period of time. This is often referred to as the useful life of the asset, and it's assumed that the buildings wear out over time and eventually aren't useful anymore, which is why the IRS allows business owners to claim depreciation. Let me just give you a quick example of depreciating some type of asset that you might have in a business. Let's say you bought a laptop for $5,000 and it has a 5-year useful life. You would then take a $1,000 deduction on your tax return every year for 5 years until you've depreciated the full value of that for $5,000. Now, unlike the 5-year-old laptop that you're likely not using anymore, the twist when we're talking about real estate is that often actually goes up in value over time, but you're still allowed to claim depreciation expense on it every year. Even though the property may actually be going up in value, the IRS assumed the building wears out over time. So they let you deduct a portion of the building's value every year. For residential rental property, that depreciation is taken over 27.5 years, and for commercial real estate, it's taken over 39 years. Now, depreciation expense is not money coming out of your pocket. It does not affect your cash flow, but it still reduces your taxable income. That's why many people call it a phantom expense. With rental real estate, you can have cash flow without having taxable income. Now, when you include your rental income, operating expenses, and depreciation, you can often end up in a situation where the cash is flowing, your loan balance is going down, your property is appreciating, and your tax return shows little or no income. And in some cases, it's even going to show a loss. And that's the core tax advantage of rental real estate. You're building wealth while legally minimizing current taxes. And those 4 things, cash flow, appreciation, mortgage paydown, and tax benefits from depreciation is how you're building wealth while legally minimizing your current taxes. Let me walk you through a quick real-world example so you can see how this actually plays out. Now, let's say you bought a rental property for $500,000. And let's say for rent, you're charging $3,800 a month rent for a total of $45,600 in annual rent you would have received. But now we get to take all the expenses against it plus depreciation. So let's look at the most common expenses we're going to take. And the first one, the biggest one usually, is going to be mortgage interest. Now let's assume that we finance that property for $450,000 at a 7% mortgage interest rate. Now you get to take an expense for the mortgage interest you're paying. You're not taking an expense on the principal pay down, that's paying down the balance of the loan, helping you build equity and value in the property, but we are expensing any interest you're paying. So in this example here, you'd have mortgage interest expense of around $29,000. We get to deduct that against the income. Now another common expense is going to be property taxes. Let's assume you have $2,500 in property taxes. And then let's say you have $2,200 in insurance, another common expense you're going to have. Now there's going to be another group of expenses you're going to have that I'm just going to throw into an other category here and assume you have 5,000 of them. This could be travel to the property, this could be your cell phone, maybe a home office deduction, maybe some maintenance or repairs you have. I don't know. Let's just do a grab bag of 5,000 out-of-pocket expenses you're having that relate here to the property. Now, if we total that all up, that is giving me $38,700 in expenses on the property. Now remember, I had $45,600 in rental income. So right now in this example here, I have taxable gain of $6,900 that I would have to pay taxes on my 1040. But we're not done yet. We have the big one we've been talking about, depreciation here, that is going to create an expense on your return, making this not taxable at all. So let's calculate what the depreciation is in this example. Now, in this example, the property was a $500,000 purchase price. And remember, when you're buying rental real estate, you do not get to depreciate the value of the land. A common formula used is 80-20 to determine what is the value of the building that you can depreciate versus the land. In this example here, that gives us a $400,000 value for the building. So I'm going to calculate depreciation off of a $400,000 number. Now the time period is 27.5 years that I'm going to take. So we're going to divide 27.5 over $400,000. And that gives us an annual depreciation expense of $14,545. The nice thing I can see already here is this is greater than this. That means I will not be paying taxes on any cash flow I'm making from this property. Even though I'm actually having taxable income and money in my pocket, I am going to have an expense and a loss on my tax return. So what's going to happen here on Schedule E of your tax return is not only are you not going to pay taxable income on this rental income, you are going to claim a loss, which in this example is $7,645. Now that loss is going to stay on your 1040. You can use it against other rental properties that might have taxable income or when you sell a property, or this will carry forward to be used to offset future gains when you later sell this property or against other future gains you might have on other rental real estate. Now let's look at the big picture of what's happening here with this property. I was still collecting rent. I had cash flow. Hopefully that property's going up over time, and I was paying down the mortgage. But remember, that cash flow and taxable income that I was actually making, that's money in my pocket, is not subject to tax. That's the power of depreciation. You can have real income while showing little or no taxable income. I want to make an important clarification here about LLCs. As a lawyer, I recommend clients use LLCs for their rental real estate. But keep in mind, LLCs do not save taxes on rental real estate. The LLC does not unlock all these expenses and this depreciation opportunity. Whether you own a rental property personally or whether you own a rental property in a single member LLC, it still flows onto Schedule E in the same way. The deductions, depreciation, and losses all work the same. So what do we use LLCs for? We use them for asset protection. I want to separate the liability that happens on the property if a tenant slips and falls from my personal assets. If something happens on the property, they have to sue the LLC. They're stuck at the LLC. They can't get to my other businesses or my personal assets. I'm using the LLC for asset protection, liability separation, and risk management, not for tax savings. And anyone telling you to set up an LLC to save on taxes for your rental real estate does not understand how this works. Rental real estate is a long-term wealth building strategy that has incredible tax incentives built inside of it. And that's why so many of our clients have used rental real estate to grow and build their wealth. As they're acquiring a property, they're using debt, which takes less cash out of their pocket to own the asset. And when they're paying on the debt, they're expensing the interest. They have cash flow on the property if they underwrote it properly, but they don't pay tax on the cash flow because of depreciation expense. At the same time, that property is hopefully appreciating over time and they're paying down the mortgage. This is why rental real estate has been a very popular wealth building strategy, and how, if you know how to use the tax rules properly, you can use it to build tax-free income and wealth over time. Rental real estate saves you taxes because the tax code treats it differently, not because of some gimmick or loophole, but because of how the income, expense, and depreciation are designed to work together. When you understand that system and track things properly, you can often build cash flow and equity while keeping taxes under control. And if you want help understanding how rental real estate fits into your overall strategy and how you can utilize the tax benefits, click the link in the description of below and book a call with one of my team members at KQS Lawyers. And if this video was helpful, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. I'm Matt Sorensen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.